Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Love Your Journey podcast. I'm Tara Jo, and I'm here with my dog Bailey Boo. But today we have a special guest. I'm excited. Her name is Debbie Mitten. She is a curious and creative soul that enters an exciting new chapter. After 37 years balancing a corporate strategy career by day with fronting a band by night, which I'll be asking about her later, she hit serious burnout. At 60, instead of slowing down, she dove headfirst into entrepreneurship, launching Virtually Debbie as an intuitive business coach for heart centered women business owners. Debbie lights up working with coaches, creatives, educators, and healers who are building something meaningful. Having learned the hard way, she's now passionate about helping women entrepreneurs put their health first while growing their businesses. When she's not coaching, this lifelong introvert and closeted tech geek can be found pondering life's big questions, meditating, singing, songwriting, playing guitar, painting, or sharing her journey on YouTube. Welcome, Debbie. This has
Hey!
been months in the making for everybody that doesn't
No.
know this. I have tried to record with Debbie for several months, and I just kept getting either migraines or not. I fell down the stairs. Remember, that was
Oh
the
my
first
God,
one.
I
I fell down
remember
the
that. Oh my
stairs
God. Yeah.
on a house sit, and I needed a break. And anyways, it's so interesting. And then today of all days, again, I have this migraine for anybody. So this is going to be an interesting
Maybe it's
recording.
me.
And then there's drilling going on in my neighborhood as well. So we're going to try
Good times.
for the best. And it actually, I always say there's reasons for these things to show up in my life. I don't think it's coincidental that I've
Mhm.
been up against some things when you and I are going to be talking. So I think that there's something to uncover in this piece, because we can come up with roadblocks all the time in our businesses, right? And
Yes.
we can't just consistently say bye, see you later. I'll ignore that. I'll bypass that feeling. I'll
Good
just do
point.
these things. So
Good point.
yeah, I'm just really curious about, all of this in terms of, let's go back to the beginning, because you were
Yeah.
in, what did you do in corporate? Because that
Huh.
could be any kind of job. So let's go to that, back to the beginning. Tell me how you started and why you're here today.
Yeah. So I literally started on Wall Street in 1987. And 6 months later, the crash happened. And I was
Oh
like, oh my
my
God, what's happening here? Yeah,
goodness.
I'm out of a job. What's happening? Uh, Drama right from the start. And I was on one of the biggest trading floors right next to the World Trade Center. I was working at Merrill Lynch. And I learned a lot about, now I never set out to do this. It was a kind of a thing where I left high school valedictorian, did not know what I wanted to do with my life, and just kind of fell into this job. A friend got it for me. Long story short, I ended up meeting a fantastic manager who took me from Merrill to Lehman Brothers to Payne Weber, and we were like a team together. I was not only his right arm, but he allowed me to just run with technology and
Amazing.
just trying to create different applications. And at the time, back in the 80s and 90s, telling me it was kind of rudimentary. So I love the fact that he allowed me to dig in and create these things alongside of him. A lot of other companies where I ended up being a VP in technology after a while. He semi-retired. I hated it. I missed
Mm,
our like mentorship kind of relationship,
yeah.
and the fact that as I was becoming a VP in technology, there was like a lot of politics. I just didn't like it. And
Yeah.
so I went back to being an assistant to somebody in the right arm, and I enjoyed it again, but I never quite found that relationship. And then time goes on, 9/11 happened. I left downtown and worked in Midtown for a company that 10 years later shut its doors. And so that was another like blindsided kind of thing. You think you're safe. And there's a theme behind this. You think you're safe. You think,
Yeah.
you do all the right things,
Yeah.
but life happens. Nothing is quite
Yes.
safe. And
Yeah.
so I left that. It was a real estate investment firm. All the while I was in bands. I was, playing in bands at night. Friends from work would come down to watch us play. And so notice there's a lot of energy being expelled here.
Yeah.
Working on trading floors and in corporate, we're talking like 7 a.m., 7:30 a.m. till like whenever it's done, and
Yeah.
then rehearsal and then playing at night. So I burned out over the years. And at my last firm, I think during COVID, I learned something about myself working from home. I'm an introvert.
Mm.
I was thriving
Yeah.
at home in the silence and the focus. And I was also in my late 50s. And so things were happening and changing in my body that I wasn't quite sure what was going on. I became very sensitive to light and sound and
Mm.
smells. Menopause was kicking in, and I
Yeah.
just wasn't quite aware of like all these changes. And through the journey, I really wanted to start my own thing. Every time in between jobs, I would fantasize about starting my
Aw.
own business, but then I would jump right back into like the safety of a corporate job.
Yeah.
And fast forward to the last job that I had, I burned out. I ended up in the ER. And shortly thereafter, I was laid off, and I'm 59. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I thought in my head I
Yeah.
just had a few more years to retirement. Um, but I thought, maybe this is an opportunity.
Yeah.
So I started a business, but I was still, in the depths of burnout.
Yeah.
So yeah, so here we are, and I have this like wonderful little company. It's been in business a year. This is year two for me. So I'd love to talk about like that whole journey and everything that you kind of go through emotionally and what it's been like the reality of it versus what you see online with people
Well,
talking about the perfection of like,
yeah.
everything's
Well,
great.
yeah. What? You mean it's not? No. So, okay, so let's
Yeah.
talk about this for a second. So, because Debbie and I can really go down rabbit holes, and then we
Mm.
kill ourselves laughing about everything. So that's also something that you might see here. But let's talk about burnout because somebody that's listening to this may not even know what it is. And I want
Yeah.
people to know what it is because you might not experience it yourself, but that doesn't mean that you're immune to seeing somebody else go through it. And I think people need to know how to support somebody through something like that. So I I have my own idea of what that would be for me. I've gone through various health crises in my life, but because you tend to, I think, I don't know how much because I know you work with a lot of like newer entrepreneurs coming in, right? Like startup
Yes.
businesses,
Yes.
they're coming into the new, but they might be leaving corporate or other jobs due to that burnout scenario of that. So what kind of symptoms or what do people see really that could show up that they might go, "Oh, is that what this is?" from
Yeah.
your lens.
It's very different for each person. And in my particular situation, I did a deep dive down because I wanted to know. I wanted to
Yeah.
understand what is happening here. And so there were a lot of different doctors I went to understand. I got tested for ADHD and autism. Like I thought I was on the spectrum there for a while because a
Oh,
lot of
interesting.
symptoms that I was experiencing with my nervous system was very similar to the symptoms of someone with ADHD and autism.
Right.
And so the more I was researching, I was like, I wonder if I'm like late diagnosed and I just don't know it. And, there's a whole history of me like trying to search for answers, but at the end of the day, it was this pervading feeling of this nervousness
Mm,
that and exhaustion. And it was just sleep didn't take care of it. Pushing through was like just killing my nervous system, but I didn't understand that I was actually creating more problems for myself. Pushing through, not sleeping, working past the point
yeah.
where I should have been working, and then, gigging on the side. So it was a constant feeling of something wasn't right and waves of anxiety that turned into panic attacks.
Mm,
And then when you put on top of it the menopause thing, I
Right.
didn't know what was
Well,
going on. There would
yeah.
be bouts of crying because the nervous system needed to release it somehow.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand the connection between mind and body. I
Mm,
was not doing enough physically, and even gentle movements like in somatic care.
yeah.
I didn't know anything about somatics. Somatics was the thing that actually helped me. Hiring a burnout coach was something that actually helped me. She educated me on what was actually going on in my body. And then, being gentle. So the burnout could look different for everyone, but
Yeah.
I would say that there's this pervading sense of dragging your ass constantly. Yeah, I was just like, no matter how much sleep I got, I would just wake up and just be like, okay, all right, just push through. And no amount of
Yeah.
coffee, no amount of anything, and then I kind of shied away from anything that was stimulating.
Mm,
People,
right.
light,
Yeah.
sounds, smells.
Yeah.
My nervous system was so exposed and raw from the abuse that I had
Mm,
put on it from continually pushing through that
right.
everything was sensitive. And then I was learning about highly sensitive people. So I didn't know what was going on.
Well, it's interesting you call it abuse because I do see that. I see a lot of people abusing their bodies, and I want to just voice this because obviously I've worked with probably well over 1,500 women by now, if not more, just due to how many years I was in the fitness industry as well. And women
Mm,
abuse themselves in many different ways. It's not just like overeating or over drinking or
mhm.
excessive things. You can also excessively work. You can also excessively caregive. You can also excessively shop, excessively gamble, excessive. So anything, I think of it almost like overload. So when we're overloading the body to the point that it's uncomfortable,
Mhm.
right? Because
Yeah.
we're just we've been told to just get it done, get it done, get it done, get it done. Can't you just get it done? Can't you just get it done? Can't you just get it done? Why didn't you get it done? Like
Yeah.
that's this constant thing that women feel they have to constantly produce what? A clean house, dishes are
Yep.
done, children are in bed, the pets are walked, the bank account is balanced, let alone what's going on in the workplace and the demands of your boss and
Hmm.
those kind of
Hmm.
things. I remember that feeling of, for me, I also had a side gig when I worked a 9 to 5 job. I taught boot camps and I loved it. It was like so fun. But what I'd realized is half an hour prior to going, I didn't want to go. Right. Like
Ooh,
I could
interesting.
feel that feeling. Like I loved it when I got there because
Yeah.
I loved helping the women. I loved the company was great. It was called Fit Chicks, beautiful company. They
Oh, cool.
I don't know if you know them, but they're
I
they're a
heard
Canadian
about it.
they're a
Yeah.
Canadian company. They're really great here, and they now do the fitness academy or Fit Chicks Academy or something like that for holistic health coaches. And this had nothing to do with them. They were not demanding in any sort of way, but I just did not know how to speak up to say that I was doing too much. So I was
Hmm.
teaching those things 4 times a week and then also working this 9 to 5 job, which was not healthy. It was a very toxic environment. So the
Right.
overload of those 8 to 10 hours a day with a toxic environment was leading into, so it might not even, we might not, so women don't even know what's going on, what is actually bothering me when we have so many things that could be bothering us, right?
We're
Until we
not
take
slowing
that time.
down. Yeah, we're not
Yeah.
slowing down enough. And I will say, Tara, that you brought up an amazing point. We look around us and this is normalized. The
Yes.
constant schedule, the
Yeah.
constant go, go, go. And if we're not doing something on the side or, if we are standing still for just a moment,
Yeah.
we think something's wrong. When I was in corporate,
Yes.
I looked around to the people around me, and everyone was working through lunch, sitting at their
Yes.
desk, eating, staying past the time they should have stayed, and nobody was saying anything. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking, oh, well, I need to be a team player. The other thing is bad boundaries. Bad boundaries,
Mm,
perfectionism, people pleasing.
yeah.
If you have that in your background, you take it into corporate, you take it into your entrepreneurship. So
Yes.
it's super important to me to make sure that women who are starting businesses don't take these bad habits because it becomes a lifestyle. Like you said, you didn't even know that you didn't even realize this was actually happening. It's
Yeah.
conditioning.
Yeah.
And it takes a while to uncondition yourself
Yeah. It's
in the
not a
business. And
magic
I'm
wand, everybody. I'm going to repeat this again. It's not a magic wand. You cannot just
no,
do one session
nope,
and think you're going to get better.
no.
This is, I'm going to just voice this because I'm so passionate about this piece, because early on in my career with healing, it used to be like people just wanted, even me, I was codependent with my healers, right? I just want you to fix me, just let
Mhm.
me feel better. And then I just thought that that would make it better without taking the action steps or doing any nurturing along the way, right? And
Right.
so I built my business in a different way in the last like 5 to 6 years to try to teach women that you got to put the tool in your hand. I want you to have these tools in your hand so you become more of a leader in your life in terms of like what you're
Yes.
doing and how you could need to heal yourself. And it's a journey. It is literally like Love Your Journey podcast here, people. It's a
So true.
journey,
So
right?
true.
So just in terms of your burnout scenario, do you feel how long did that take for you to get into a place of like,
Girl.
okay, I know who I am now. Oh, this is Debbie. I'm Debbie. How long did that take?
It's still going on.
Yes,
It's
thank you. Thank you.
ongoing.
Yes.
While I did find an amazing burnout coach and she taught me a lot, and I took my somatic classes and I released a lot of the things and I
Yeah.
healed a lot of the things that caused this stuff, it's ongoing.
Yeah.
Awareness is not enough. You have to
Mm,
recreate the habits and be
yeah.
realistic about how you're really feeling about things. And to me, it you need radical honesty about what's
Mm,
going on inside
yeah.
and radical kindness with yourself during the journey, because it's going to take a while to undo all of these behaviors. And I'm still doing it. When I first jumped into this business and when you introduced me as, somebody who left corporate and dove right in, I dove in because of survival. I had to.
Mm,
But I stepped back because I realized I was bringing in all those bad burnout behaviors, the perfectionism, the people
yeah.
pleasing. The moment I stopped and took a break, I was like, "Oh God, am I allowed to take a break?" I felt unsafe taking a break. Now, I know you're being a responsible business owner by taking breaks. I have to lead by example for the women that I am helping. And I have to live it. And I will be honest with them. If it's not happening for me, I tell them.
Yeah.
Like, because they need to understand that it's not going to be perfect every day. You're not going to show up 100% every single day. It's not
Yeah.
realistic, but it is getting better. And
You
there
know,
is a
it's
way.
Yeah. You know what's so interesting about this concept of breaks? I was thinking about how I worked for a nonprofit organization once,
Mhm.
and if anybody has ever been a nonprofit, it's organizations where you don't make as much money as if you were in a corporate organization, and you work 3 times as hard. That's
Yeah,
legitimately what
yeah.
happens often in nonprofit. And I remember when I got to the point of like I needed to take my break outside of the workplace, that's
Mhm.
when I got let go. So
Oh,
isn't that, yeah, so like
interesting.
I already could feel my body not being able to handle being in the workplace again
Yeah,
and again and again. No, listen, there's other circumstances. That's like not only the reason why they like said for me to
sure.
go, but I could like from my own learning as a leader now, looking back at those pieces, my my body and my soul already knew it was no longer aligned with who I was.
Oh, that's so
And
important.
the why are you not on it, pushing, like doing the thing, and I always felt too this eyes were always on me in the
Yep,
workplace. And
yep,
then you feel like you're walking on eggshells if you take a break, even if it's
yeah.
just to breathe or to drink or get some coffee. I used to be at also another organization that the very toxic one that drove me into my business. So I thank it so much because it
Yeah.
gifted me this ability to see like, oh, I no longer need that or want that anymore. But what it did was I would go to get coffee and immediately would be like, well, what, like you've been standing here too long, and I'm thinking,
Oh, totally.
Jesus,
The guilt.
because, well, no, but the thing that I was thinking about is everybody has different tools in terms of their energy output of what they can do. Just because I'm sitting staring at the computer doesn't actually mean I'm doing the work, right? You know
Right,
those people
right.
too, right?
Yeah,
So
totally.
this concept, I'm such a believer of human design and looking at different ways of living our life and owning the rhythm of our own body and understanding when we have those energy to output something and when we don't, right?
Yeah, human design was a big eye opener for me.
Yeah.
I
What
didn't
are
know
you?
anything about it until I
What are
started it.
you?
I'm a projector 3-5, and
Oh, you're
apparently,
same as me. That's
oh, that's
great.
crazy. I've been
Yes.
living a life against the design of how I was designed, and no wonder
Yeah.
I burned out. And no wonder. And the beauty is the fact that I was going to stay in this thing until something bigger than me pulled me out of it and
Yeah.
said, no, no. Here, try this. And I think at the age of 60, I finally figured out what I want to do with my life. And then it
Mm,
introduced me to human design.
yeah.
And while the guy who discovered, downloaded
Yeah.
human design, I'm not 100% behind this guy.
We
Like,
don't need to be. We don't need it. We
right.
could just, no, we don't need to be. We
But
can move. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
human design report for me was like freaking spot on. And I was like,
Yeah.
what is this? This is amazing. And I am a big believer in like you said, understanding my energy output.
Yeah.
I designed this business around the energy output. I can't do groups. I can't be in groups. I can't be
Interesting.
in male dominated spaces. I live
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Now I
Yeah.
do one to one,
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
woman at a time. It lights me up. Put me in a group, I need to recover for a little bit. So I do networking
Yeah.
online with groups of women, and
Yeah.
they're small groups, but I do need recovery time, and
Mm.
that's okay. That's how I'm
Yeah.
built. That's all
Yeah.
right, you know?
That's so interesting because so I'm also a projector 3
Mhm.
5 and I love facilitating groups. However, I could not do it multiple times a week, right?
Gotcha.
And there is something really nourishing about working with a deep dive client, like one
Yeah.
to one, right?
Oh my God.
But I think it's all the years of teaching fitness in front of like 50 women. Like I loved
Oh,
the energy of
wow.
having that group energy, right? Like I loved it. So this
Yeah.
is where, for those that are listening and new to human design, the charts of human design, even though we might have the 3 5 lines similar and the projector similar, all of our gates might be different. So maybe
That's
there's something
true.
in our gates in human design that's different where I'm okay with doing that. But I think for me just in general though, anything that's too much is exhausting.
Oh my God.
So if
Okay,
I
so
had way too many one to one, because I did at one point have way too many one to ones.
that's exhausting.
So you work with a lot of healers as well. So you said that you work with entrepreneur early on. So early on
Yeah.
in my business, I did just one-off sessions. So sometimes I'd have 6 to 8 clients in a day. Could you
Oh wow,
imagine?
that is a lot. Yeah.
No, but
That's a
really,
lot.
and I think I was charging like $90,
Yeah,
or
that's a
it's just
lot.
exhausting, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and I remember a coach saying to me like maybe you need to package it up. And I just was so resistant. I love how our
I know.
beliefs show up, right? I was so resistant in terms of selling more than one thing at a time. But what I realized when I could work through those beliefs, it opened up this possibility of seeing a client actually be able to transform, knowing they were working with me in
Yeah.
that period of time. Do you
Oh
find
my
that
God.
with your,
There's nothing like that feeling.
yeah,
I'm
exciting.
I feel like I'm floating.
Yeah.
When I've seen people at the beginning when we worked together and they're struggling with maybe visibility, showing up on camera, that's a big one for a lot of
Yeah.
women.
Yeah.
Like it's such a grind.
Yeah.
And then, like, towards the end, they're finding their flow, they're finding the best way they want to express themselves and communicate. And then there's this like opening up, and I'm just like, oh, like it feels
Yeah.
amazing to watch
Yeah.
them blossom into
Yeah.
this thing and attract the people in their business. And so I go, I'm so onto something here. I
Yeah.
can't believe that can envision this business that I can create in the way that I want to
Yeah.
create it, like, but I never allowed myself to imagine it before. I squash that, and I think it's the conditioning of
Yeah.
society and of corporate that you think the only way you can make money is going to this job and getting a steady paycheck and getting like healthcare and a retirement thing, like that's the only way. But now I'm realizing there's another way.
Yeah.
And it's actually happening. And I want so many women, like, it's my little way of fighting fascism. Like, the more women that
Yes.
are independently, financially independent and out there and bringing
Yeah.
their gifts to the world, like, hell yeah. Hell yeah. So
I mean,
it's
yeah,
amazing.
I mean, I've had so many conversations with, well, even Paula and Jessica, who I had on the podcast in the last couple of weeks. They're both, into, wealth building, and I have so many colleagues that are into this, like women should have their own bank accounts and like all of these things,
Totally.
and it's interesting just how much conditioning is in that for women to break through that concept. And I don't know, like, I want to just say this right now. The fact that I know that you're a projector, now I know why I know you're so gifted. I didn't even have to know you're so gifted at what you
Oh,
do because I could just feel it. And projectors have this really beautiful way of seeing things before others. So it can actually suck at times when we have all the
mhm.
answers ahead of time. Like, we
Mhm.
know, I've been talking about this pausing and taking breaks and slowing down for like a decade, if not more, and nobody wanted to be on the ride with me. Like, it was such a struggle to even try to tell workplaces to do things different or other people to do things different, but now you can clearly see that people are getting on the ride with me.
Yeah.
We can feel so bitter when people don't hear us, or right, like
Oh, the
there's that
bitterness.
bitterness that
Yeah.
shows up, right?
Yes, I learned about the bitterness thing and I'm like, well, that makes total sense. And I think
Yeah.
it had a lot to do with, you're trying so hard to convince people
Yeah.
that's not the way to do it. And I was like, but why don't they listen? And
Yeah.
now I understand. You are yourself. You tell your story. You talk about your journey.
Yeah.
You are the example that
Yes.
people look at and then they
Yeah.
go, huh. I'm curious, tell me more.
Yeah.
And they come to you.
Yeah.
And that's difficult for someone who's a control freak, recovering control freak, by the way. And you want to just take action.
Yeah.
The patience part of this is it's part of, the maturity of
Yeah.
being a
Well,
projector.
I just think you have so much to offer, really, because when you've worked as many like corporate scenarios and the people that you've worked with and the organizations that are huge organizations in the States that you have, I mean, that is just insight that I don't think most people have. So there's that. So this lived experience you have, and then let alone the health journey of the burnout scenario that you've also lived. Like, this is the lived experience I call the trial and error part of our lives, which kind of sucks sometimes that we have to go through these periods where we have to learn these lessons. But
Yeah,
because you have gone through that, I think you offer women, especially earlier on, something
yeah.
to build from so they don't make those mistakes, right?
I think women need to see that it's possible. I think the lived journey, I'm not going to prevent women from making these quote unquote mistakes, right? Nothing's really a mistake in a way because if we're
Yeah.
learning something from it, great. If it keeps repeating itself, that just means we haven't learned that lesson just yet. And
Yeah.
there's a reason why it's repeating itself. So it's necessary for our growth. So I'm just here to just say, this is how I've done it. And every woman that comes to me is like asking, is it possible? Can I do this? And they're looking for other women. They're looking to see, well, if they can do it, I can do it too. I look for those women as well. I make
Yeah.
sure I get in rooms. where seasoned business women are in there, and I look at them and I go, tell me the truth. What's it really like? That's what we want to know
Yeah.
because then it gives us
Yeah.
permission to say, you know what? I can do this too.
Yeah.
And that's really all it's about. Like, listen, the projectors, we could see the gaps in between. Like, I
Oh
could sit
yeah.
here with a woman, she could tell me her story, but because she's so in it, there are things that are so obvious to me
Yeah.
that she's not seeing because she's in the eye of the storm that
Yes.
it's very natural for a projector to be like,
Yes.
oh yeah. And then when you tell her, it's like this mind-blowing thing. But for me, it's so obvious.
Yeah.
But try to do that yourself for yourself.
Yeah.
That's difficult sometimes because, you might be able to see it. Then you've got to do the work to actually change the behavior or
Yeah.
get out of that cycle. So we're all going through it. We're all teachers for one another. I just happen to find a career that I love now. And I feel that it's actually like every day I get up, I'm doing something that is like worth it to me to I get up so happy now.
Yeah.
So, and let me tell you, year two is scary.
Yeah.
Year one was so much fun. Oh my God, this is amazing. Everything was new. I
Yeah.
met this person who introduced me to this person. I learned
Yeah.
this new thing. I took this new course. Year two, oops, it gets a little quiet. Year two, like you got to constantly try to get clients and put yourself out there. And as projectors, trying to market yourself can
Yeah,
be
so you
big.
could be
Oh,
invited in because that's also right.
right.
If we knock down doors, people don't really want to see us. They want it's more of I always look at it like let people be able to see you shine, doing
Exactly.
your lived experience of life, even if it's me walking in nature or sharing a
Yes.
certain journey I've been on and letting somebody else lean in. But that's where
Oh,
real trust comes in, right, Debbie?
yeah.
Like
You're
you
just
really have to
living,
trust.
you're
Yeah.
living your authenticity. And by the way, your videos are so healing. I love the nature videos. They're so healing for me. Because
Oh,
sometimes I
thank
don't
you.
really get a chance to get outside, but I'm like, oh, I
I
love the
know.
video. I can see the puppies and
Well, you know what I
so,
do? Sometimes with my audio coaching clients, I send them private nature videos.
oh, that's so
That's
nice.
kind of a bonus everybody in
I
the Divine
love
Love
that.
Healing Collective gets. And because one of the reasons why I did that is when I suffered really dark depression, going into the mountains was I just felt instantly better. Like there
Oh
was
my God,
just
yeah.
instant healing that happened when I lived out there. I didn't live out there. I wish I had lived out there. And I would just go there and I'd spend a weekend out there. And I would film when I was out there so that I could remember it on the
Remember it.
winter days that I felt
Yes.
so,
Smart.
and and I know that, I obviously attract clients that do suffer from different things, right?
Mhm.
Whether that's depression or chronic illness or they're caregiving, children with disabilities and high medical needs or aging parents or, there's just like a lot going on for everybody. And
Yes.
if
Yes.
I can gift them a river for like
Yeah,
for
it
60
makes a
seconds,
yes.
I'm gonna do that. So thank you for saying that to me because I haven't heard that in a really long time. And so as a projector to be recognized in that
Yeah, it
in
is.
that in that piece is actually really good information. So thank you. Yeah.
Oh, you're so welcome. I think we should do that for every woman that we come across and let them know how they affect us personally, what they're
Mm,
doing, because it's just so important. Not a lot
yeah.
of people can and visibly see these things, and it's very touching. So I always, oh, please excuse me. This is my mom. I'm so sorry.
That's
My
okay.
I'm so sorry. We can edit this.
I'll
Are you
just pause.
okay?
Hold on.
I'm sorry. What was the last thing?
Okay.
Yes, it is
Intermission
so
over. Mom's
important.
okay, everybody. Mom's
Mom's
okay. We're
okay, yeah.
good.
Phew. I think it's so important that we raise women up, let them know, like as we're talking to each business person and coming across folks, to let them know how they affect us, that what they're putting out into the world really has a positive effect on us. And they may not hear that all the time in their business. And you don't have to
Yeah.
be a client of theirs to say something of
Yeah.
what you've seen that they put out there. And I hear that all the time, and it just lifts me up. It makes me realize that, like, people are looking. You're affecting the world in different ways. You may not know it, but it's nice when you hear it. It really is.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things I see. For me, I'm a huge believer of celebration. I call it the celebration corner in my
Hmm.
monthly membership because women need to get used to celebrating others as well as celebrating themselves. So
Yeah.
sometimes we can be so uncomfortable when a compliment comes in. I even feel that sometimes, depending on who it comes from, because it can feel so jarring when it comes from somebody that's not used to complimenting me, right? It can
Yeah.
feel, woo. And there's lots of conditioning that happens in that. But the more that we can practice, number one, watching yourself celebrate another woman who's maybe in the same scenario as you and not feel like you're further behind, that's a huge
Right.
practice, right? And also just like being able to celebrate yourself, even the small little moments along the way, right? So as your burnout journey, I'm sure that that's a piece that you've had to, I don't know, did you have to get used to that?
You're absolutely right. I was extremely resistant to the wins.
Oh yeah.
I, oh, ooh,
Did we
that
need
took,
to name it something else for you? Would that be
yeah,
better?
no, it, I would see people post, like regularly, weekly, like, tell us what your wins are. And I'm like, freaking have any right now, or I'm in a bad mood and I'm just like,
Oh
I can't
yeah.
really think of something,
Like
or
yeah.
I do have something, but it's not really compared to what they just wrote. And you know
Yeah.
what?
Look at all the
I,
dialogue that's going through you
oh,
just by seeing like no, honestly, let's just pause for a second because that this is literally women every day.
yeah,
The dialogue that's going on in our brains
uh-huh.
when you hear just one woman say something, you're already thinking you're not good enough. You're
Oh yeah,
already,
compare.
what do I have to say
Imposter
about that?
syndrome. Exactly.
Yeah, so
So what I
interesting.
started to do was stop pressuring myself to post it publicly, first of all.
Oh yeah.
The second thing that I did was I just there are so many different ways of winning something. And
Mm-hmm.
if it's important to me, like if I took a break without feeling guilty, that's a win right
Totally.
there.
For sure.
And eventually over time, I started posting stuff like that. Somebody could have said, I booked 5 clients, and I would put something like, I only took 30 takes to film a 30-second video today,
Yeah.
instead of 50 takes.
Yeah.
Or because other women need to see it. It's not always
Yes.
the flashy,
Yes.
I booked a $10,000 month. It's, the reality is I got up today. I actually
Well,
showered today.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, like let's talk about the reality check, Debbie, of the
bring it.
scenarios we're in right now. Like
Bring
let's
it.
just bring that because
Oh
because
yeah.
I mean, the coaching industry, I've been in it for a long time and there's there's just so many things to be said about this because I think the worst thing we can do is have people in a hierarchy make us think that it's fucking easy,
Yeah.
make us think that nothing ever goes wrong, and making us
Hmm.
think that we're never ever going to be feel overwhelmed before. All we need to do is dip our toe in the pool and we'll feel better. It's all bullshit. So
Yeah.
let's bring this reality up because I'm not saying that we need to complain and bitch about life because that doesn't get us anywhere anyways. But what I'm saying is it would have been more helpful for me as an earlier entrepreneur to be able to know that other women struggled with working 8-hour days as well because of
Yeah.
their health. I would have loved to
Yes.
have known that. And I would have loved to have known that that was actually a different way of doing business is being able to
Hmm.
work a couple hours at a time and take a break, right? I would have
Yeah.
loved to have that door open for me already, but it wasn't. And I would have loved to know that, I mean, there's so much. What would you have loved to know?
Oh, let me tell you. First of all, going online from corporate to the online space, seeing these just people like saying, "Oh, you can make $10,000 in a month just by taking this course. Just sign on." That's not a thing. That's not a freaking thing. Like, not in your first year of business, it is. And so I noticed that there was a lot of other tactics that I was not very happy looking at because pain point marketing was another thing. I used to feel terrible about everything I was doing because of a pain point post that would say, you're doing this and you're doing it wrong. And I'm
Oh
like, oh
yeah.
God, maybe I am. And I would change everything about my business.
Yeah.
And it's just a manipulative, emotional and manipulative tactic to get you to like look at what they're offering to
Yeah.
think that that's going to solve that problem.
Yeah.
And so I started to see all these different types of tactics, and I was like, oh no. Oh no, 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 no. I'm gonna speak the truth about what it's actually like to be in business. So I'd get on networking calls with other women and
Yeah.
they'd be like, "Yes, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Everything's perfect, everything's great." And I'm like, "All right, so my first year in business, I went from a six-figure corporate salary. I made $3,000 last year."
Oh
Jaws
yeah.
just dropped. Like, I'm sorry, what? Did she say that out loud? Like, yeah, that's the reality. I'm on Medicaid now. I went
Oh yeah.
from corporate health insurance. I didn't even make enough money last year to be on the regular ACA plan. I'm on
Yeah.
Medicaid now. Nobody wants to admit that.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be vulnerable enough to say that because they're like, well, then who's going to hire me? Who's going to
Yeah.
hire this woman that if she can't even, yeah. But the reality is it's year one. It
Yeah,
takes
well,
time.
and not only that too, because I saw some person like say something like she made $1 million in her first year. Yeah, but we don't know the circumstances around that. Was she
Yeah.
made of money already? Did she come in and have a $50,000 Facebook sales ad
Yeah.
conversation here? I mean, there's
There are
so many
so
other
many.
nuances here that we need to talk about. That's really the truth of how somebody gets into business and how successful they are. And also some of us like smaller boutique businesses anyways, where we don't have to have 1,000 clients
Yeah, it
who are
depends on
paying in, right?
what do you value
There's
more? Do you value your
yeah.
time or do you
Yes.
value yeah, and your energy or do you value money? And at this stage of the game for me, I decided that I don't necessarily want to be a millionaire. I am at a stage in my life at 60 where I want to do work that lights me up, that pays my bills, that has a little bit more towards retirement. And so what I sacrifice in that is I pull back on expenses. I don't necessarily want to have a lot of clients booked because I value my energy. I'm healing from burnout. I'm putting my health first. Every woman is different. That doesn't mean that I can't help another woman make six figures.
Totally.
But if she values her health and she wants to do it in a sustainable way, I'm going to teach her how to do that. And
Yeah.
so, what I'm all about as we looked at this coaching industry and why it has such a bad reputation, it's no doubt it does because there were so many different tactics that were used. People don't trust anymore. And so I
Mm,
want to help women that really value relationships,
mm,
really value the fact that their business has integrity because if you're going to, for example, sell a course that's really old, that like somebody's going to buy that and it's not really helping them, but you're just trying to get numbers in, you're just trying to get one client after another. They don't realize that it's not a great course until after they've purchased it, and then they realize it's like, oh shit, this really didn't help me too much.
right.
If that's your business model, okay, go for it. But you're going to have people that are not going to come back. They're not going to talk very highly of your business, and you've just
Yeah.
burned a few bridges. Whereas the kind of businesses that I'm trying to, it takes longer. It's
Yeah.
relationship based. It's not overnight. You're planting seeds now that might not sprout for a few months or a year. And
Yeah.
so it's not flashy,
Yeah.
but it's sustainable over time. Your reputation is going to precede you and you're going to be trusted, which now in this market and in this environment, especially for coaching, trust is everything.
Yeah.
It just is. And so,
Well, yeah, I mean, there's so many little threads here. So lately in my inbox, I have been getting, for people that know that I podcast, these people that don't think I'm doing it right coming into my inbox. Okay. I
Really?
I knew you'd like this, but and they're talk about pain points. Okay. So that's what they're leading with is all the things I'm doing wrong. And
Right.
I just roll my eyes and think, you think you're going to sell me by telling me that I'm doing it shittily or I'm not
Yep.
doing it good enough? Like, I've had enough of that in my whole
Yep.
entire life. I don't need you. And if anybody knows and has been there since the beginning of time for my podcast, I started this podcast imperfectly for a reason. I
Hmm.
don't edit, I don't do anything like that because I wanted to show women that in order to just do what you want to do, you got to just do it. You just got to get
Yeah.
started and you got to lean
Perfect,
in and you got to
imperfect.
get practiced and you got to, so I did it for a reason. The reason I started has changed and morphed over time, and that's evolution of how we are in business or just even in our lives as
People.
women, as we,
Yep.
yeah, as humans, as we grow, as we look at our values, as we come back home to ourselves and remember who we always were, things will change and shift. And definitely like, you know, I would even see, say sometimes like I don't even I don't even resonate with some of the stuff that's on my website anymore because it was old school
You've
marketing the
evolved.
way that it's right, but it also feels exhausting for me to redo it. So I'm sort of in this stage of in between and just,
Yeah,
if clients want to work with me, they know they can reach out or DM and we can chat it
exactly.
out. And I just trust that that's what will happen. But I think we get so tripped up on perfecting things that
Yeah.
people just get stagnant and don't do anything.
It's a
What is
loop.
your solution for that? Like for,
Yeah,
because I really want to say I bet you anything that's probably happening for a lot of women, just any journey that they're on, they come to a point of thinking like they get stuck with something, but early on.
yeah. Early on, it can freeze you. It can freeze you because that is the overwhelm. That is the
Yeah.
overwhelm thinking, oh, if I don't have the perfect website that's getting all the clicks and SEO, or if I don't have social media pages that are getting a lot of impressions and likes and comments, I'm not doing it right. And I'm here to say that's not a thing. And you need to figure out, the first and foremost is if it's important for you to get clients that are aligned with you, those are the activities that you need to invest your focus into, your focus and your time. And if it's all about relationship based, trying to get the word out there about what you do. You've got to be in front of women or, whoever your particular client is,
Yeah.
having real conversations, letting people know exactly what you do so that your reputation starts to spread out there. In the beginning, when you're starting your business, you're not really going to get clients from social media. It's going to be referrals and word of mouth first. This is
Yeah.
all the data. Second is inviting people into a discovery call. And third is newsletters. That's
Mm-hmm.
within the first few years of business. And everyone I've spoken to and I've given those statistics to, they said that is true for them.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, I am going to focus my energy more so in conversations
Yeah.
than I am about the next post. And yes, I can do posts and reels and stuff, but now it's not so intense. It's there as a library for
Mm-hmm.
folks who are interested or curious. It's there for them, but I'm not churning this stuff out like I used to in year one.
Yeah.
And I learned that the hard way, but I try to
Yeah.
teach my clients the same thing. They don't have to burn themselves out. And you got to find the right thing that like matches who you are as a person. Some women are now leaning heavily into Substack because they don't want to be dancing on TikTok. So they're
No.
stronger writers.
Yeah.
There's a really great community over there. And so I try to tailor it specifically for like the woman's energy levels and how she likes to show up in the world, how creative she might be.
Yeah.
She's introverted. Is she, suffering, still healing from burnout? Like, is she neurodivergent? These are things that you really need to tailor it to a person so that it's a successful kind of mentoring, coaching relationship. And that's why I do what I do. I think it's really important to tailor it and to get real and to speak out about what it's really like. And I will constantly say that until the cows come home. Like I will
Yeah.
just be like, that's not a thing. Don't worry about that. When you talked about your podcast doing it wrong, how many emails do I get in my inbox about like, your YouTube page? I can help
Oh
you with
yeah.
that. And they're
Yeah,
taking
yeah.
screenshots,
Yeah.
and God bless them. They're trying to get business. That's their way of doing it. It's not my way of doing it. And so I used to reply to all those. Okay.
Oh, and the people pleaser in you, Debbie. Oh my goodness.
I don't do that now. I don't do that now. So, and that just shows some of the growth that I have and where I want
Yeah.
to put my energy because it is limited.
Yeah.
And this something like this, like a podcast for a projector, is great because you're sharing audiences and you're
Yeah.
doing it in a way that aligns. Like I could talk to you all day. I
Yeah.
could talk to you all day. People are getting a general sense of who I am as a person, what I value, how I work, who I work with, and it's just in a natural conversation. Like I'm not like selling. It's
Yeah.
just like a natural conversation. If they
Yeah.
if they align with it, they're going to reach out. If they're
Yeah.
curious, they're going to reach out.
Well, and I think too, like for me, for anybody that is listening, because I've had a lot of people write to me and say, I'd like to be on your podcast. But if you haven't noticed, I don't invite people I don't know or I haven't
Exactly.
experienced myself. And one of the reasons that is a safety thing for me. I want to be
Mm,
able to have a full body yes to it. I don't
yes.
just say yes to anything and everything anymore because that's what leads to me not feeling great
Oh,
for
yeah.
various reasons. Like our body already has the signal of what's the alarm going
Could we
off,
talk
right? Like
about that?
before we even know. Yeah.
Intuition. I
Yeah.
never knew how important it was
Yeah.
in life,
Uh,
but let me just say, in corporate, I squashed it. I
mm,
hid it. I
yeah.
buried it because it was speaking the truth. It was like,
Yeah.
you need to get out of here. Like,
Yeah.
you're not happy. And I'm like, that's very inconvenient information for me right
Yeah.
now. Even in like music, in band situation, I would be gigging and working, and the intuition was saying, you used to have fun playing music. Now
Yeah.
you're playing weddings and you're doing it for the money, and
Yeah.
it's not as fun as it used to be. Shush, shush, I'm making money. And yeah,
Yeah.
quiet down, you. And now in business, being an entrepreneur and working by myself in a nice, quiet house, that voice is coming up. It's guiding like my body language. It's leading me with my full
Yeah.
chest. If I'm
Yeah.
pushing towards something that resonates or someone that I want to work with, it's loud as anything. I'm recognizing it now and I'm following it with curiosity.
Mm,
And that's exactly what I want to teach and empower the women to do this for themselves. Like when you
yeah.
work with a business coach, eventually, like you want to be able to like fly, fly on your own, pretty bird, like release the bird from the nest, fly on your own. Like that's because if you can listen to your own intuition and you've got enough information, you can do this on your own. You really can. But in the
Yeah.
beginning, you might not really recognize when
Yeah.
to listen to intuition. And I always love to tell people the difference between intuition and the fearful voice, making a decision out of scarcity or whatever. Intuition is going to be grounded. That nudge is going to be quiet and grounded. But if you're making a decision out of fear, it's going to feel like scarcity. It's going to feel like a nervous energy. So
Yeah.
a lot of people have difficulty figuring out like, well, what voice is that?
Yeah.
Is it my intuition or is it my fearful voice? Because we can convince ourselves and
Of
that
anything.
this decision is like,
Yeah.
oh, so you got to get like really discerning. Is this
Yes.
decision coming from a grounded place? And I know it might be a little scary, but it's going to be great for my growth, like raising your prices, for example.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
people are very scared to raise their prices,
Oh, for sure.
and they're trying to make that decision. So intuitively, if you can like figure out, is this coming from a grounded place that I'm going to raise my prices or not raise my prices? Or is it coming from a scared place? I don't want to raise my prices because no one's going to buy from me. Like if
Yeah.
that's the voice that's coming out, that's not your intuition. And you need to revisit that. So,
I mean, oh, intuition is such a beautiful journey to, I had a client that came into my world probably about 6, 8 months ago. And, she asked and said, like, I like your concept of slowing down and pausing. And I don't really know what intuition is. And I was like, well, that's your
yeah.
intuition there. You leaned
Yeah.
in to the
Yeah.
idea of pausing because something in you was, ooh, I need more of that. That's your intuition talking. That's,
Yeah.
and your intuition's also that feeling when you walk in or you're walking in a dark place and you get that, ooh, I think I should stop or turn around or call a friend. That's your intuition talking.
It
You know,
is.
there's so many quiet nudges. And for those that with human design, I have a splenic projector, so my intuitive nudge could be very quick and quiet, very quick and quiet,
Mm.
where other people might have it come in a different way. And for the type of work that I do, this is where I really bring women back into their body all the time. What
So
are some
smart.
practices that will align for you to learn what those whispers are for you and bring the energy back in? Because if more people could trust themselves and trust their intuition and trust, the
Mm.
world I think would be a very different place,
Yeah.
because there's so much of that overthinking and that stress and that anxiety and thinking we're doing it wrong, thinking we're not enough, thinking we don't deserve this or that. There's just, I mean, something
It
else is running the show there when we're in that
it
state. It's
feeds
not us.
it
It's the
feeds into
conditioning.
itself. Yeah, it
Sure.
does. And it can
Yeah.
spiral. It can spiral into such a dangerous point where, I mean, I literally thought I was going insane.
Mm,
And the words in my mind that were constantly running were all fear-based,
yeah.
fear-based, fear-based. And it graduated into panic attacks where I'd never had those in my whole life. But once I removed myself from the toxic situation, and once I was able to, like you said, drop into your body, I learned about somatics. I learned about, like, the soul flow embodiment movement
Yes.
that Courtney
With
does. I
Courtney,
love
yes.
those sessions.
Yes.
And I need those things. I understand, how do you recognize what's going on in your body? So is your chest tightening up? Is your throat closing up because you're afraid to say something? Does your stomach get queasy? Like, these are things that you need to kind of be aware of. Get curious. And
Yeah.
that's a something in your arsenal. Your curiosity will
Oh,
help
yeah.
feed into your intuition. These are beautiful, beautiful gifts that
Yeah.
we were born with.
Yeah.
And, people have them to different degrees, but yeah, I love them. I use them in life and in my business all the time now. Whereas before, I used to avoid them. I used to drink. I used to overwork. I used to overeat. All these different things. Social media was a very big problem for me to just like
Mm,
zone out. And I
yeah.
was off of it for many years until I started this business and I had to get back on. And so I realized, there are things that pull you away from your inner knowing, and you're afraid to really find out the truth sometimes
Yeah.
because it's inconvenient. And so you may lean into these distracting behaviors. I sometimes I think it's just part of human nature, and our brain is trying to protect us, zone us out, watch TV, and I'm not going to beat myself up for like watching a marathon or a series of something. It's sometimes how I decompress. I can't judge
Mm,
everything that we're doing, or like,
no.
oh God, I had an extra cookie. Like, what is that about?
Yeah, no. Yeah.
But I'm learning about moderation, and I'm learning about intuition, and utilizing it in a much healthier way in my life. And I mean, if you had seen me this time a couple of years ago, you wouldn't recognize me at all.
Well, probably not, because I feel like you're so joyful. Like there's a radiance that comes from the very first, well, for anybody that doesn't know this, Debbie and I met, I guess I should have shared this at the beginning, I usually do, but Debbie and I met in a Soul Flow class with Courtney. So Courtney teaches Soul Flow as part of my Divine Love Healing Collective membership once a month. She's now doing it. And I've also go into her classes that she does
Mhm.
monthly as well. And I would just remember seeing you there and your smile and leaning into the radiance that you had, which is that was my intuition saying, "Oh, I want to know this woman." I think we ended up like adding each other on Instagram and stuff from
Yeah.
that class.
Yeah.
And I just miss connections like that.
Yeah.
I think I feel like those type of connections got less and less after COVID, like when everybody
Mhm.
really kind of
Went into
hermited in.
themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
had these less intimate moments where even at the grocery store or you're out for wings with somebody, like you don't see everybody anymore. You're just like in your own
Like
space.
safe
And
bubble.
right, and like how much of the possibilities and opportunities are we missing
Mhm.
because we're not actually letting people in.
We
And
were
I
collectively traumatized.
Yeah. And just a couple of things I wanted to share here is when you were talking about, community connections with business. I built my business when I first started. 99% of my clients were referrals. I'm
See?
not even joking.
Yeah.
99%.
People need to hear that. Yep.
And I've really noticed since coming back after my concussion how much that's changed. Just
Wow.
how quiet things are compared to what they used to be. So, and I've been looking at that. Is that because of me? Is that because of what's going on in the world? There's so much kind of unrest and uncertainty. And I loved this concept too that you talked about, like radical honesty and kindness. And I was thinking about how sometimes we can look at our relationship with our business as a relationship,
It
even a
is.
dating relationship, an intimate relationship.
It
Would
is.
you want somebody that would be radically honest and kind to you? Yes. Do you want someone to be kind, radically honest and kind? Yes. It
Yeah.
goes both ways, and to treat our business like that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's got to be
yeah.
consistent across the board because if there's an imbalance there, it's in one aspect of your life, then, that's something
Yeah.
to look at. That might be a reason why something's not working in that area. And so we all need one another. We all need connection, especially if you're building a business in the time of extreme uncertainty, economic upheaval, global instability. In year one, I was like, let's do this, I'm gonna live off my savings and my severance, and yeah, this is great. And then year two, it was like, okay, what's happening? Like,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and so I also want to be realistic with women about the fact that I've spoken to a lot of business women who have been doing this for a long time, and their businesses are down 50% from the year
Oh,
before.
interesting. Interesting.
So I
Yeah.
needed to hear that because I was
Yeah.
like, what I'm doing is not working. What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
And then hearing these women tell the truth,
Yeah.
was so helpful for me.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, it's a tough time.
Yeah.
That's the reality. So let's see what we can do to work with this.
Yeah.
And I just personally think that if you're starting a business from a foundation of integrity, you value relationships, that is going to help you no matter what the economy,
Yeah.
no
For
matter
sure.
what's going on out there. If you've got
Yeah.
to pull back on expenses, yes, you got to pull back on expense. You got to get smart about your finances. You've got to lean into connections even more.
Yeah.
I do coffee chats. I do group networking calls with women that I love and trust. And we're all there to support each other, help each other for referrals, collaboration opportunities.
Yeah.
If you're not doing that, you're in that bubble. You're in that scared little bubble, and
Well, and I
it
just think about what an opportunity that is to be in a networking group with you. Like, no, but seriously, I mean, it's like I would lean into something more organic. I remember being part of a networking, somebody invited me to this networking group here in Calgary, and I was wanting to vomit. in the fakeness of the, like, I
Oh,
just couldn't even handle
yeah.
it. I was like, this is what this is all about. Ugh. It was just so nauseating to me. It actually reminded me of when I auditioned for musical theater in Oakville, Ontario. There was a musical theater, I think it was called Sheridan College. And I walked in there and everybody was so fake it, like fake smile, fake. Everybody was
Yeah.
the same. It was cookie cutter,
Yeah.
everybody. Cookie
Yeah.
cutter musical theater people. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I can handle this.
The masking is real. The
Oh, it was
masking.
wild. And I
Yeah.
don't even know if I knew at the time really what was making me uncomfortable about it. I definitely knew with the business network. I even said to my friend, I'll never go back. Like,
Oh,
I don't even know how you handle this. Because I
yeah.
would rather have an organic, real person that actually knows me, has worked with me for a long time and says, you need to work with my friend. You
Yeah.
can help her. That's the referral I want. Because
Yeah.
that
But
builds loyalty, right? And
it
trust.
does. It does. But for
Yeah.
women that are just starting out, like I had zero network because all the people on
Yeah.
LinkedIn were like from corporate and I was like no longer in corporate. So nobody in my, and I wasn't using LinkedIn or social media in a
Yeah.
business way. So I started from zero. So I had to put
Yeah.
myself into some very uncomfortable situations at first to meet people. And
Yeah.
I would find someone that I really respected the work that they were doing. I was watching. And so I would just genuinely say, hey, I'm really, really curious to know a little bit more about what you do. I love what you're putting out there. Would love to connect. And then I'd follow them on social media. We'd get a rapport. And then before you know it, like you take it offline and you want to have like a little coffee chat and learn about each. And so it's organic and it's natural. But you have to do that over and over and over
Yeah.
again. And now, a
Yeah.
year later, I have like a very small micro community of people on Instagram and LinkedIn, but
Yeah.
I've had calls with most of them. So I know, and like
Yeah.
they go for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, sometimes an hour, because like you just love to chat with people.
Yeah.
That's an impression that they leave on my heart, that I
Yeah.
leave on their heart. And that's how you grow this community if you didn't have one to begin with,
Right.
you know?
That's a
And
really great tip. Can I ask you, if somebody's listening to this and they're wanting to lean in to work with you, what are some ways they can work with you? How would you get started? And
yeah,
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 if you just want to
great
talk about
question.
that.
I try to keep it super simple. It's one-to-one only. And then
Okay.
there's two ways to do it. So, because I started out and I was looking at other business coaches when I first started, and I was like, why is one-to-one coaching so damn expensive? Like,
Yeah.
it's like thousands and thousands of dollars. So I was like, I want to lean into, where it's accessible, affordable, and it's tailored for a
Mm,
woman who needs, like, they don't really do grading courses. They do much better with one-to-one. So that's where I wanted to
yes.
lean into. And so for women who want to work with me, I think the easiest entry point is to let's look at your next 90 days. There's a
Mm,
$400 90-day, 90-minute call, 90-minute, 90-day roadmap. That's the easiest thing where we kind of take a look at everything. Offers, pricing, messaging, sales. Let's see where you're at. Let's
yeah.
see where you want to go. We co-create this thing together. And then that's the investment there. If they want to run with that on their own, they can do that. If they want to book me further, we can do individual sessions. It's $150 a session. So I try to make it where it is flexible in time,
Yeah.
flexible in investment. And, some women work better in a structured container, and I have a $2,000 package for 3 months. So
Yeah.
one-to-one always tailored to their energy levels, burnout levels.
Yeah.
If they're neurodivergent, I tailor it to that. And it's always women who are just starting out, years 1 to 3. And we just get real. We get real about it and we have fun. The most important thing is to have fun.
Yeah. I actually really love working with women that are starting out. There's just something, I don't know, maybe that's the projector in us, but there's something that I always feel like, oh, if I could help them not make the mistakes that I did, early on.
Seriously.
I
Yeah.
want to help as many women. I feel like that too about teenage girls. If I could take all the teenage girls that are really suffering because people are bullying them, or I would just like to take them all and give them a
Yep.
hug and tell them it's okay. And the
Yep.
best years of their life have not even entered the room yet.
Yes.
Um, that sounds like a really good opportunity. So I'll leave your links in the show notes for anybody. But before we
Cool.
go, Debbie, I
Yes.
actually really want to know, what kind of band do you still do it?
I at home will record on my own
Oh wow.
and threw some songs up on YouTube, my YouTube channel. I haven't had much time to do it, but every once in a while, I've got my guitar in the back there and I'll just like, strum a few chords.
Do you
It
sing
is, it is,
too?
yeah, that the
Okay.
main thing that I was doing was because my mom and dad were musicians. My dad had a band. And so I
Oh.
thought everybody's family did that. And so growing up, I was like, all right, the Partridge Family. And so I was a natural harmonizer and I had a deep voice. It's also very healing. I realized that there's
Yeah.
a healing quality to the tone of my voice. And so I actually use it for myself when I'm trying to regulate the vagus nerve.
Yeah.
But there's a very it's interesting when I was gigging, a lot of people would say like there's this connection like that they're getting from the expression of what I'm trying to say in a song. And I would give
Mm,
so much of that
mm,
through the expression that it would just immediately connect with people. And for a while, like that was amazing, but I realized that the energy that I was giving out was I was completely exasperated at the end of a job.
right.
And I would like literally pass out and like recover for 3 or 4 days. But I had to learn how to manage the energy
Yeah.
of what I was expressing and in creativity. Our band started out playing gigs in bars, and we would do cover songs from like the 80s and 90s,
Fun.
dance songs, rock songs, and then we started to make money in weddings. And so I'm in a lot of people's wedding videos with like big hair, teaching them how to do the Macarena, you know.
Okay,
So,
awesome.
so I was doing that, and then I started writing my own music and recording my own music with some friends, and we would go to a studio and record. I got 2 songs played on the radio by accident. That's a whole other story for another time, but that was just like part of the journey. And it was a great form of expression. But over
Right.
time, as corporate started to take more of my life force, the creativity went down and down. And so I found it when you're not energetically or your nervous system is not like calm, it's hard to create. It's
Yeah.
hard to be in a
There's no
place of
space.
creation.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
no space for it, right? Like it's
yeah,
like when we
there's
talk
none.
about expanding the capacity for life. I always say expand the capacity for life. It looks like that. We're not just wanting to expand to bring more money in. We're
Yeah,
expanding our capacity to be creative
yeah.
and express ourselves and do what we love to do. So so do you so when you're looking, just before we go here, when because I'm such a huge advocate of having women use creativity as a way
Yeah.
to heal themselves. Like I think that's really really important, and it can be through movement, through art, through voice, through different knitting, even like you can just do anything that can be
Putting
very
on
healing.
makeup, like it's
Yeah.
creative. Like
Yeah.
everything we do is creative when you think
Yes.
about it.
Yeah. So do you find now that you have the capacity to still perform, or is it more just in your own home you have the capacity for that, and then like do you feel like you can okay, what I'm really curious about, do you feel like when you do sing, can you now create something in your business? Or do you
Yeah.
need a rest period? Do you know what I mean by that? Like if I go
Yeah.
and work out, I have more energy for creation, or if I do a
Mhm.
somatic practice dance, especially like Shakti dance or something like that, I have more energy to give output
Yes.
for creation at that point. But yeah, just curious for you what it's
I'm
like.
so glad you asked that because I used to beat myself up for not getting the guitar out, playing keyboards,
Yeah,
and being the person that I used to be in
yeah,
the capacity that I was doing it. And so if you're not gigging anymore, does that mean you're not a musician? And so I had to, and if I'm not in corporate anymore, who am I? I'm 60 now. So it's just this huge identity thing that comes
Yeah.
along with it. And so I gave myself a break. And I said, there are other things that I like to do. I started painting, I
Mm,
started sketching, because that's a different level of
yes.
energy output. And I realized, I was speaking to my hypnotherapist. She's so cool. She's like my soul mama. She said, honestly, Deb, who says you have to be in a band to sing? You want to sing, sing. So sometimes when the spirit moves me and I feel like I almost like can't not sing, I'm listening to music and I'm singing, I'm harmonizing. I love to harmonize. And that doesn't mean like, anyone saw it or did it. It
Yeah.
was like just for me. And I had that ability to express. I stopped judging it, but I do realize that there's a barometer there. When there are months and months of non-creative kind of activity going on, I need to look at what's going on in my business and my personal life. Why am I not feeling expansive enough or relaxed enough into it to do something creative? Let's get curious about that. You don't want it to be an obligation, like I should paint, I should do this. No,
Yeah.
it needs to come naturally and organically. And if it's not, and I'm sleeping more, well, then maybe my body needs more sleep.
Yeah.
But then there's a moment where I'm like, oh my God, a beautiful day outside. I want to go out and take my camera and I want to take pictures where I used to do
Yeah.
photography. So not judging it is super important, but also realizing when you're not in a creative mode at all, there might be something a little off.
Yeah.
And doing things like, like I look at your painting in the back there, that painting, like that just makes me want to like get my fingers messy and paint and I want to like colors. Like I
Yeah.
see that and that inspires me. So
Yeah.
surrounding yourself with things that are inspiring, talking to people that are in doing these things that inspire you to do it
Yes.
and not necessarily having to post it online to prove
Yeah.
that you're a creative person. Do it for yourself.
Right.
Yeah, I always do the
Yes.
quotes. So like,
It's okay.
but it's true. Like I used to just, beat myself up for not creating something and posting it. Like, no, do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh my God, so much fun.
so if you're listening to this and those words, do it for yourself, maybe it's for you to lean into a business. Maybe it's for you to lean into getting support for burnout. Maybe it's for you to lean into hearing yourself again, remembering who you are,
Yeah.
then that's your intuition talking. So thank you, Debbie, for
Oh,
bringing all of this to the surface. There's so many threads that we could continue on. Loved having you here. Would love to have you back.
so much fun.
And
Thank
I'll
you.
definitely leave your information in the show notes for anybody to, reach out to Debbie or I if you have any more questions. It's been such a pleasure. And I think
Yeah, so
one
much
day,
fun.
maybe on the podcast, we have you back and do a karaoke with me.
Oh my
Wouldn't that be fun?
God, absolutely. Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
trained classically, but
Oh,
I
wow.
could say we'll see what we can come up with. I
All
have a
right.
feeling we'll like design our own song in the moment or something like that.
Projector
Anyway,
karaoke. Yeah.
that's right. Thank you so much. Love you so much. Thanks everybody for
Thank you,
listening.
Tara.
Be kind. Lots of love.